Right, so yeah, I'm Jim Collinson. I work for Maidsafe. We're a company that are making the Safe Network. We're at the Safe Network meetup, so that's that out of the way. I'm a user experience designer, so I'm concerned with things that you can see and click and comprehend. So we're in the final stages of making this thing. It's been quite a long road, but we are in the final stages. I thought I'd get a little mini rundown of what the Safe Network is, in case it's new to anyone, and my perspective on it. I'm not a tech guy, I'm a designer, so I would put that perspective on it. So save your deep questions about computer science for another one. But anyway, the aim of the Safe Network is to reinvent people's relationship with the internet and their data and their privacy and their ability to communicate and collaborate with people freely. But what is the thing? What is it? Again, I'm not the tech guy, but briefly, it's a decentralized autonomous peer-to-peer data network. What the hell does that mean? It sounds very crypto-y talk. And I'm not a developer. I make things for people. So I won't go into too much detail about that. But basically, I like to make things that humans get to use to do human things. So what I want to talk about is what the Safe Network enables for people and for you guys and their relationship with the internet. But in short, what is it? Well, if you think about the web as it currently exists, as a bunch of big servers, big silos of data, it's largely owned by Facebook and Apple and Amazon and Google and Microsoft and Netflix and all those peeps. That's where all the information exists. We don't own it, or we don't really have any control over it in any meaningful sense. And we largely pay for the privilege of having it on these servers with our privacy and by being advertised to. So we are not the customer of these people, of these corporations. We are with a product, and that's why we can get it for free. So the Safe Network intends not to be made up of racks of servers and massive data centers owned by corporations. There might be a few of them, but it's not a network of hardware, of computers and servers. It's a network of data, and it's controlled by no one, so it's owned by everyone. And how it works is by using the spare capacity of everyone's home computers, everyday devices to store that data. It gets split into chunks and distributed around the globe, encrypted chunks. So only you have the keys to your data, only you can access it, unless you choose to make it public, of course, by publishing a site, or if you want to make it available to everyone, then everyone can access it. And all traffic to and from this big single server, it all looks the same because we split it into these small encrypted chunks and send them to and from the network. Everything, all data is equal. And it's reassembled on your computer when you want to view something out of these small chunks. So nothing gets priority, and none of it can be snooped or harvested or exploited. So this creates one huge cyber brain that everyone gets a slice of. You get to own your own little bit of it. And you pay to use this big cyber brain when you want to add data to it. If you want to read data from it and browse websites and listen to music, you pay nothing. But if you want to put data onto it, you'll pay, but you'll pay through advertising or through having your data ripped off or becoming part of some big data set somewhere. You'll pay by contributing resources to the network in the form of bandwidth or hard drive space or code. So this is intended, this creates a circular economy of the network that's not based on an imbalance of power like we have at the moment, where corporate is king, and they use dark patterns in this direction to extract value out of the system. It's not like that. Computers are now just metal or machines that we can come and go from and access the network whenever we need on any multitude of machines that you open up and log into your own little personal digital space. All your data is reassembled in front of your eyes. You do what you need to do, and then you log out, it folds away, and then it's ready for the next person to use. So it's going to be pretty cool. And for those of you who are curious, it's not blockchain based. So I imagine there's going to be some sort of bar fight after that. I hope not. I have not come prepared. But basically, we want this replacement for the web, to be globally scalable and have consistent performance for anyone around the globe. So, it's not based on the blockchain. But the subject of this talk is, what does it mean? What does it mean for people? What does it mean for you guys? What will it enable for humans? And there's a bunch of facets to this thing. There's so much to think about and talk about. So I've broken it down into chunks, just in the same way that we've broken down the design we're doing into kind of milestones that we can kind of articulate in easy blobs and go and make things that relate to them. It's a lot easier to do that way. So I'm going to run through those, talk about them, and then maybe we'll have some questions at the end. I'll try and rattle through and keep some sort of time. So the first of those milestones is called Perpetual Web. So this is our first feature set, the first thing we're working on right now, and you can think of that as, it's been referred to before as the Internet Archive on steroids, kind of baked into the web. And that is quite a good pitch, but it is way more than that. That's one little slice of it. It is way more than that. So for starters, when you access any website or a site in the Safe network, when you put data to it, you pay once to upload, and it's stored there forever, perpetually. So when you choose to make it public, by making a website, as opposed to private data, we're talking about public data here, so websites you choose to publish, it gets an accessible home in the world's digital archive. And it's also versioned. So every site gets its own little version history by default, by the virtue of creating a site and updating it. This is created, this version history. So we like to think of it, we're creating the Internet of Truth. But again, just to kind of reiterate, you don't pay to read any of this information. This is accessible to anyone because it's encrypted. We encrypt traffic to and from it. Anyone, anywhere gets the same access to this thing. So yeah, an Internet of Truth. And the other thing about the Safe network is about this big cyber brain that we're creating, is that it allows for infrastructure-free creativity. So I don't need to configure anything. I don't need to spin up an Amazon server. I don't need to buy some hosting or buy a domain name or make my next move with Squarespace or anything like that. It's just there. And it's always been an itch of mine ever since I started tinkering with websites, which, if we're using the traditional grunge calendar, is somewhere between Simon's Dream and Melancholy Infant Sadness. So right about there was when I first started tinkering, and I always wanted to just dip my hand into a website and change it and have a little peek around the back and move some wires about and not. I didn't know how to make a server or configure any of that. DNS things. I don't know. I just want to make stuff, and so that's what we can do. All I need is a browser. I've got an edit button. I don't need permission from GoDaddy to do anything. I've got a URL bar here. I can make a name for my site right there. And then
with the browser extension.
With our own browser.
Okay.
Yeah. So all you need to download is the browser. That's it, and then you can peek around the back, and you can tinker with stuff. It's right there. I can just go right ahead and edit, or I can drag and drop things off my desktop onto the internet, and it's there, and it's there forever, and it's versioned, and it's all cool. And it's, sometimes when you're creating things, the process and the tools that you use are really important, and they help form things that you're making. But other times you just want to get stuck in, right? And it's just about this thing, and you don't want anything else in your way. You want to strip back as much as possible, and that's kind of what we can get with the Safe network because of this big cyber brain. You can just put stuff right on. And then not having all the world's data in these daft silos that won't talk to each other, or deliberately, or just because of other embarrassing reasons. We get control back over our information as well. And that means we can start to realise the web as it should have been. Like it should have been all along with linked data. And this is really pretty damn exciting, guys. Because what does it mean for the web when I can have a single identity that I reuse everywhere over the whole network, or as many identities as I want, be it kind of anonymous or pseudonymous or whatever, and I can verify as a browser. I can verify sources across this entire network and across multiple outlets, and have them all referenced in a single timeline. It's pretty powerful. And I'll keep coming back to linked data. It's pretty inherent to what we're doing on the front end of things. It's very important. It's kind of, you get that by default with the Safe network. But it's got some pretty extraordinary possibilities, I think. So the next milestone that we're kind of breaking things down, that was the perpetual web. Kind of glossing over these things really quickly, but they are really big. You can ask questions at the end, I guess. But the next thing is private communications. And this is probably the most eagerly anticipated, hotly requested feature of the Safe network, because it is desperately needed, but also because it's really easy to grasp, right? Communicating with people, and I'm doing it privately and securely. I mean, that in itself is a game changer when I'm free to communicate and collaborate in a private digital space. So that's good. There's no reliance on any central servers or third parties to do any of that. This is good. But this milestone is way more than that. It's way more than creating like a new WhatsApp or a new Signal or whatever. And the secret sauce again is linked data. So users will get the tools to communicate via multiple identities, like I mentioned before, real ones, pseudonymous ones, anonymously. But also with linked data, you get the ability to have kind of network-wide global contacts, global profiles, the management tools. These things will always be up to date across the entire network. None of the siloed data all works together. And the other great thing about that is that because it's network-wide, conversations that are started in one channel or in one UI or in one place, they can get instigated in the way the sender desires, but then they can be read in a context appropriate for the recipient. So you can choose. And I think people are really going to cherish linked data when they can use it and they can see it in action when it's combined with this single big cyber brain. That's going to be an overused phrase, isn't it? And then, I mean, this linked data is portable data. This is a phrase that gets used a lot, portable data. That's kind of a bit of it's a marketing buzzword, but doesn't currently really have much utility, and it's kind of aspirational. But with the Safe network, it's a real thing. And I think people are going to fall in love with linked data, with portable data, when you realise you're not moving your data about, or not taking it out of one platform, one Facebook, and going, can I have all my stuff please, and then carrying it over to another one. It moves around me. I don't have to do anything. If I don't like the messaging app I'm using, I can open another one and continue finishing that message. Or I can plug in the image editing power of one application into the text editing power of another. I kind of mash up news feeds across timelines to suit me. And and I can see all my replies in one place, but when I respond, it goes to many places, and these are things we can do when we're not siloing data, when we're making it work all together, and we have control over our own little slice of that network, and we're not asking permission from all these different parties. This is pretty handy. So that kind of moves me on, I guess, to the next kind of milestone we're working on, which is about taking control of your data. And kind of remaking your relationship with personal data. And I guess this is when we start to see some kind of radical shifts in the way we perceive and the way we have our relationship with our personal data and our digital life, and what we've come to expect and what it is now with the organisations that insert themselves into our digital lives. It's actually quite hard. It's such a big shift. It's often quite hard to articulate what it might be like. And I think it's when you start to think about it, you realise how much has changed in the past 15, 20 years, maybe. The whole lexicon has changed, and it's hard to define things, and it's difficult to describe. I'll give it a go. So we're winding back again in the grunge calendar to kind of super unknown. This is the Soundgarden time. It's just like, oh, you can just call it 94. This is me. This is a 386. And this is like the family. Click and check out that's a grunge shirt, right? That is. That's my sister's there. We're on the internet for the first time. And the thing about this time and what preceded it was all my personal data is on that computer, on that 25 megabyte hard drive. It's all there. In fact, I don't even know if the term personal data was it around then? I don't know. Maybe not. So maybe they'd not been coined at that point. It's just a bunch of files that belong to me on that disk, in my control. And I guess, simply installed software on that machine, and I manipulated my data in the way it suited me. And that was it. It was cool. But now, like, what is an app? What does that conjure up in your mind, an app? It's something you sign up to, something you log into, you give it your data, you hand it over both legally and physically in some sort of pinky promise that they won't sell it or lose it or get hacked or deny you access to it or tell you they don't have access to it anymore and it's still sitting there. And you can maybe have you can have access to it at some point in the future. This is what an app is. But with the Safe Network, we're back to 94. I know everyone likes to get nostalgic, but we're back to 94, except instead of my personal data sitting on that computer on my desk, it's on this slice of this big, huge server. That's where all the data resides, and I'm in control of it. It's accessible from anywhere. It's my little slice. I have the keys, and I can do stuff with it. So I don't think software should have eyes. I don't think. I think apps should be, and they will be. They are on the Safe Network. They're just software you use to manipulate your own data for your eyes alone. And this, like, combined with the power of linked data, means I can just swap between apps at will. This data is here. The application I use to manipulate the data is just a window, just a portal over the top of that data. I can move in and out. An app is not a corporation. It's not another person looking at my data. There's no other person on the other side of that app who could pretend they're not listening to my conversations. Alexa. It's only me that can look at that data. Of course, unless I want to send it elsewhere, I want to share it with someone. If I want to share it with a friend, then I can, and that's up to you. And you can have the same confidence in that sharing, in that two-party operation, as you did maybe way back in the day sending an email, like feeling the confidence in sending an email or posting a letter. So this is pretty awesome, and it's changing the fundamental business model of the web is what we're about here. So we're turning off the tap for surveillance capitalism, that is the aim. So when there are designers like me, or the developers like maybe some of you guys, and you want to create an app, you only have to have one person in mind, and that's the end user, and how you provide value and utility for those people, for those humans, for their needs. There's not another higher priority customer there anymore, which would be like an advertiser with money, or a big data miner person willing to harvest data. The value of an app we can create as designers and developers, the value of it will be based on its usefulness to people, and not on its ability to harvest data and how skillfully it can do that thing. So that, as a designer, that's really empowering and awesome, and I love that. And the last part of this last milestone is the new digital economy of this thing. It's the kind of final part of the user experience, although there's plenty of it. It's the final milestone in that, which makes up the user experience, the safe network, and it's the economy that it runs on. And the two main parts to this are Safecoin, which is the currency of the network, and vaults, which are the way that people can contribute compute resources to the network in return for rewards in Safecoin. And there are other ways to be rewarded as well, actually, like creating apps, for example. You can be automatically rewarded by the network for creating a useful app. But Safecoin and vaults, these two things mean kind of financial inclusiveness and an ability to participate in the circular economy and the safe network. And this currency, by the way, should you be interested, again, it's not blockchain based, it's kind of inherent to the data on the network. And it'll have transactions that are near instant and private and free. And with linked data, again, my best bud, we've got the makings of a really, truly human-centered cryptocurrency. And because the thing that I find painful, and there's a lot of big hurdles for nearly all cryptocurrencies to get over, and it's just that they're terrifying. I mean, for people, like, they're hard. There's strange addresses, and there's candlestick graphs, and there's middlemen, and there's just fear. There's fear of losing things and getting stuff wrong, and like, what do I do with the secret key? I mean, the public key. The public key, definitely the public key, I think. So we have the ability with the safe network to cut through that. And with linked data as well, I can create a really nice readable identity for myself, like at Jim Collinson or whatever, and I can send and receive Safecoin from that address privately, easily. So if people are confident in using a messaging app, or they're confident in using something like PayPal, they will be able to use Safecoin. And then there's like, apart from that raw usability, it's pretty intense, I know that really, I apologize. Apart from the raw usability of that thing, which is just one small part of the network, there's amazing things that doing things this way enables for people. And when you combine it with the safe network, what it does as a whole, there's like really big ramifications. Just one example would be e-commerce. Incredibly powerful for individual traders. Like, I set up a website, see how easy I can just throw up a website. I can accept payments through that website really just as easily, really fast, and receive these payments. And as a shopper, I can go on a network-wide shopping spree with a single shopping basket, and not have millions of logins and other data everywhere. Just have one basket just in the browser. Go on a big shopping spree. When I'm ready to check out, cha-ching, all these disparate traders, individuals get paid, no middlemen involved, and because with linked data, all my contact information is up to date with them all the time, because I have data in one place, it's there for them wherever they are. my shipping information is up to date, it's not siloed all over the place. So if crap, I'm not going to be in to receive my Safe Prime package, I'll just update it on my mobile and it'll go to everyone. And it's powerful, really powerful for individual traders. It's kind of taking down the big guys again, and that's what we're all about. So it's contribute and be rewarded is the thing. It's the kind of the last piece of this puzzle in this circular economy. You get all these amazing features of the network that we've talked about, and you get a ton of them for free. Everything you read on the network is free, but if you want to add data to the network, which you might want to do, and you want to send a message or something, you will pay for it, just in the same way you pay for the internet at the moment, but people don't realise they're paying for it in a different way. So you don't pay for it by being surveilled or exploited or having your data ripped off or taking risks or being manipulated, not realise you're being manipulated. You pay for it by contributing to the network, and that is supporting other people's use of the network. So you can install a really simple background application on a desktop, home computer, allocate it a lot of space of your hard drive, and choose a little bit of bandwidth, and there it goes. It'll be running Safe for you. You're storing all these little encrypted bits. You can't, these little chunks, you can't see them, and you can't have access to them, but they're there, and they just do their thing. And those little tiny nuggets of information are all of humanity's data available to all of humanity. So you're rightly rewarded for doing that. So there we go. That will be the user experience of the Safe network. That's what we're building.